Not least, we have Greg Burnett, who is the founder of Startup Queensland and editor of startupqueensland.org. And you've been in the startup ecosystem for about 4 years now. Is that about right, Greg?
Yes.
Cool. All right, let's hear what you get to say.
Okay, so I'm the ring-in. Aaron couldn't be here. He had to get his award in Sydney and attend a conference down there. But look, I'm really proud to be here. Normally I am behind the scenes, so I've been involved with Aaron in the Gold Coast startup initially. We set up Silicon Lakes on the Gold Coast, and that ran for about 3 years. And we were sort of the poor cousin of River City Labs, I guess, at that stage. So Gold Coast had no startup community, so we were starting with a clean slate. But as we started to get more traction, we did more and more things and started working closely with Steve Baxter and Peter and that up here. So, and eventually that's led to Aaron moving back up to Brisbane and pretty much just heavily involved here with River City Labs. So with Aaron cancelling, I got the call from my good friend over here, and he basically talked about any stories around adversity and crisis. So the first story I want to share is not really a startup, because for most of you would know, startups is really just a term that's come really to the forefront in maybe the last 4 or 5 years. But I do want to share a story of my own business journey back in 2001. So I think everyone here can remember this event, probably remember where you were on that event, when it happened. And I guess something that I learned quite valuable is that about 3 days before this happened, I had just signed a new property lease for a store in Cleveland. I had a chain of chicken stores all over Brisbane, and this was going to be our latest store. We were expanding. We had 6 stores at the time, and I stood in my living room watching this unfold on TV and was petrified. Basically, my God, you know, things like the world will never be the same again, World War III about to begin, and I really panicked, as a lot of people did around the world. I couldn't ring my solicitor quick enough to find out how the hell I could get out of this lease that I just signed. You know, so it was a 5-year lease, personal guarantees and all that, and I just really freaked out, as many business people did. And I guess sort of, if you can bear with me, I've got 2 other slides, and when we get to the final slide, you'll understand the whole plot. But what I learned, and I guess as I've matured and run other businesses and really got into the whole startup scene, is that in these really uncertain times that we now live in, and this happened 15 years ago, but there's always opportunity, and the really smart business people and the real people who really got the finger on the pulse turn every adversity and every crisis into an opportunity. So if I'd have been smart, and I even thinking about coming to talk to you guys tonight, I was thinking, well, what would have I done different? Well, what I would have done different now is I wouldn't have run my solicitor, but I would have run the agent saying, you know, that lease that I've just signed, well, I'm going to cancel it, but I tell you what, I'll make you a deal. Let's half the rent. And, you know, I guess I look back now and it was so foolish of me to sort of cut and run, but I could have turned that into an opportunity. And I'll talk a little bit more about that. So the next slide. Is everyone remembers this one, 2008? So I've just made a couple of notes here just to jog my memory, but basically by 2009, so the main crisis started in around July 2007 and really peaked with Lehman Brothers collapse in about September 2008. So global markets dropped by, on average, about 50 to 60% all around the globe. Trillions of dollars lost. So investors got spooked, just like I did when I wanted to cancel my lease, got spooked, sold the farm, ran for the hills. But I'm sure all of you have heard of Warren Buffett. So Warren Buffett during that period lost $23 billion of his personal wealth. So at the time he was valued at about $60 billion. He was the second richest man on the planet behind Bill Gates. And he lost $23 billion. That would be a pretty upsetting day for most of us here. But you would have heard, you know, one of his main things is about invest for the long term, and he didn't cut for the hills, and he didn't run, and he didn't sell. And some of you might have heard one of his famous sayings is, do the opposite to what everyone else is doing. So when everyone was selling, what do you think Warren Buffett was doing? Buying. That's right. So today, I just looked up his stats today, but today he's valued at $70.2 billion. So he not only remade the $23 billion he's lost, but over the last sort of 8 odd years has added another sort of $10 billion to his wealth. So I guess this sort of is heading in that period. So the S&P 500 at January 2009 had dropped to a valuation of about $6 trillion. And today, the same S&P 500 is valued at $19 trillion. So where I'm sort of going with this is, in adversity and that's happening in the world, and we all live in these uncertain times, and everyone has their Trump stories and Trump moments from a fortnight ago. But the sun goes up, the sun goes down, the world keeps spinning, and basically people forget quite quickly and go back to the norm. So the moral of where I was heading is... It's a really good slide, but where does it go? Okay, we've got to find the drum roll moment. Blow it up, come on.
Yeah.
So I guess the theme of my short chat with you guys tonight is that for me it was a personal experience back in 2001 when I sort of cut and ran for the hills. Like most of the people on the planet were quite worried that the world was never going to be the same. And then fortunately I didn't lose any money in 2008, not as much as Warren Buffett, but obviously again a lot of people cut and run and ran for the hills. And I guess with what happened a fortnight ago, any of you that are involved with startups or about to go into business or quit your day job or throw the towel in and become an entrepreneur, is for me to share with you that the world keeps turning. So no matter how bad, how things get... I was thinking about earlier this afternoon, barring World War III, nuclear attack, that would be quite scary. But I think just generally in terms of economic ups and downs and that, and I wanted to share with you again, some of you might be quite familiar with Warren Buffett, but his key takeouts is do the opposite of what everyone else is doing, be fearful when everyone else is greedy, and be greedy when everyone else is fearful. And I guess for me in startup world, it's sort of, I work with quite a lot of younger startup founders now. It's trying to pass some of that wisdom on around, the world is in a pretty messy state, but in the 15 years that I've been running businesses and starting businesses, I learned a lesson that I should have stuck and focused on the goal and stayed with it, because I'd be a lot richer today than what I am. So that's the story. Thank you.